Welcome to Fish on Fridays. I'm Al McCauley, and every November 17th, the Catholic Church remembers a very young saint named Elizabeth of Hungary. How young was she? She was 24 when she died, and that's just, but boy, 24 years. She packed a lot in that 24 years. And when you see pictures of her or icons, it's interesting because she is depicted sometimes as this confusing blend of regal finery, like royalty, and this lowly poverty. And it's because she really embraced both. She was a noblewoman who was married to a German prince named Ludwig when she was 14 years old. And so she knew the royal lifestyle, if you will, but she always had in her heart care and concern for the poor. And they were abundant in the 13th century when she lived. She was born in 1207, by the way. So she lives in the early 13th century, and the poor are everywhere. And so she would routinely give of the stores that were in the castle where she lived to the poor. She had bread lines and soup kitchens before those things were even things, what we call today soup kitchens and bread lines. Her husband didn't always agree with this. He kind of let her go on it, but he didn't always agree with the fact that she was so generous. And there's a story about her that she was taking food out of one of the pantries from the castle to go out into the streets to give to the poor. And she had him wrapped in her apron. And when he was on his way home, he happened to bump into her and say, "What are you taking?" She didn't want to lie to him, so she went to show him the food that she was going to give to the poor, and they had turned into roses. God had turned them into roses. This gave him an inclination that maybe there's something special about his wife. And boy, it was revealed in spades in another story that she found in the streets a poor leper who was about to die, and she wanted to nurse him back to health. And so she brought him home to the castle, to their bedroom, and put this guy in their bed and was nursing him back to health. And she would sleep on the floor next to him to give him, the space on the bed. While Ludwig was away for a while, he comes back and he sees this guy in the bed. And he was unbelievably unnerved. He was so frustrated, so angry. And he went and ripped back the covers. And what he saw was a vision of Christ on the cross. And it was at that point that Ludwig said, "Oh my gosh, this woman is onto something. She is seeing Christ in these people, and I have to help her with this. I have to support her." So from that moment on, he is going to bankroll her efforts. He is going to build a hospital for her to bring the sick to, a place for them to come and coalesce and convalesce, I should say, and to become healthy, and if not, to give them a place to die with dignity. She was like a Mother Teresa of the 13th century. By all accounts, Elizabeth loved Ludwig. Unfortunately, he's going to be fighting in one of the Crusades and he's going to die. And after 6 years of marriage and 3 children, she is now a very young widow. However, she still wants to keep this up, this lifestyle of giving to the poor. Now, you can imagine Ludwig's in-laws, who are now ruling the castle, they're not very fond of this. In fact, they try to push her out, and eventually they do kick her out altogether. They kick her to the curb and say, "You're no longer part of this. You're giving away too much stuff." And so she is relegated to that little hospital that Ludwig bought for her, and had built for her, I should say, to help carry out the ministries of giving to the poor and to the sick and to help them. Unfortunately, because of her austere life, she's going to die, as I said, at the age of 24. Toward the end, though, however, she's going to become very, very good friends with some Franciscans. The Franciscans are really early on in their stages at this point. They're really early on as a religious community. But she is going to be called what we would today term a secular Franciscan. She's not someone who takes any kind of vow, but she lives a lot of the call to poverty, etc., in service of others as a Franciscan. In fact, she is now recognized as the patron saint of those secular Franciscans. And she's also, by the way, the patron of Catholic Charities. Imagine that. So if you know or love somebody named Elizabeth, if you know or love somebody that works, perhaps you do, in a Catholic charity or as a secular Franciscan, maybe you want to share this information with them because, boy, what a great person to learn from. Even though she was very young, what kind of lifestyle? Who are the poor in my life? Who are the people I need to reach out to be more like Elizabeth? To pay attention to? What will I sacrifice in order to make sure that they understand Christ and that they have the gift of faith and the gift of life, the gift of food, the gift of good health? Just some things perhaps to take to prayer. Anyway, St. Elizabeth of Hungary, wonderful young saint to model, and a wonderful young saint to learn about and to love and to pray with. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful. Please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd love that. We'd love it if you'd follow us on Facebook. But either way, please keep tuning in every Friday for Fish on Fridays. Until next time, please be good to each other, and God bless.